When we think of Hitler's final days, one image dominates our memory: the Führerbunker in Berlin, where the dictator spent his last weeks before taking his own life in April 1945. But beneath the forests of Poland lies another bunker, so secret that even many historians overlook it. This is the story of Riese the giant. Deep in the Ull Mountains of Lower Silesia, now part of Poland, lies a network of underground tunnels that represents one of the Third Reich's most ambitious projects. Unlike the Wolf's Lair or the Berlin Führerbunker, this complex was never completed and remains shrouded in mystery 80 years later. The year 1943 was a turning point for Nazi Germany. Stalingrad had fallen, the Eastern Front was retreating. Allied bombers were turning German cities to rubble. Hitler needed a new headquarters, one that could withstand anything. The answer lay underground. Project Riese began between 1943 and 1945. 7 main sites were created: Osauka, Wolodarz, Rozetka, Jugovice, Sobon, Sokolek, and the complex near Kusia's castle. Together, over 9 kilometers of tunnels. Complete plans suggested up to 30 kilometers, an entire city underground. These were not small tunnels, they were massive corridors 8 meters wide, 6 meters high, large enough to drive military trucks through. Walls of reinforced concrete up to 2 meters thick. Some sections descended 70 meters underground. Infrastructure included railways, ventilation systems, power generators. Between 13 and 28,000 forced labourers built these tunnels. They came from Gross-Rosenkamp Poles, Russians, French, Jews. They worked 24 hours a day in 3 shifts, with rations of 500 to 800 calories a quarter of what's needed to survive. Thousands died from starvation, disease, accidents, and executions. The work was primitive and deadly. Hammers, chisels, poorly controlled explosives. Blasts killed dozens instantly. Rocks fell regularly. Underground springs flooded entire sections. Even today, many tunnels remain underwater. One of the most intriguing sites is Kusia's castle, a 13th-century palace. The Nazis took it in 1943, evicted the Polish owners, and began tunnelling beneath it. The tunnels under the castle show more careful work-finished walls, rooms resembling offices, living spaces. Was this for Hitler? No one knows for certain. The location was strategically perfect. 300 kilometers from Berlin, far enough for safety, close enough for control. Near the industrial regions of Silesia, good railway connections. The mountains provided natural protection from bombing. 50 meters of rock overhead, no bomb could penetrate. But the question that has haunted researchers for 80 years remains. What was Riese? What was its true purpose? In April 1945, as the Soviets approached, the Nazis destroyed everything. Files were burned, plans were shredded, witnesses were killed. All that remains are fragments, and the tunnels themselves a stone archive that won't reveal all its secrets. Theory 1. Riese was meant as the ultimate Führerbunker, a new headquarters for Hitler, far larger than the one in Berlin. The complex could house the entire command apparatus, ministers, generals, planners, with power generators, ventilation systems, water and food storage. It could function for years. An underground government continuing the war even after the surface was lost. Theory 2. An underground weapons factory. Germany had built such facilities, Mittelbaudora for V-2 rockets, others for jet aircraft. The logic was simple. Underground production couldn't be bombed. Riese shows industrial features: railway tracks, spaces for assembly lines, massive electrical systems. Ventilation designed for industrial smoke, not residential use. Theory 3. Secret projects, Wunderwaffe. Journalist Igor Witkowski claimed he found evidence for Die Glock, the bell and experimental device with strange effects. Most historians dismiss it as pseudo-history, but there are unusual features: one tunnel with circular indentations and rock heated by extreme temperatures. Drainage systems suggesting dangerous material management. Theory 4. Treasure repositories. The Nazis used tunnels to hide stolen gold, paintings, sculptures. Why not Riese? Ideal location secure, hidden with perfect preservation conditions. There are reports that trucks with crates entered the tunnels in the war's final days. What were they carrying? No one knows. The most likely reality: Riese was multi-purpose, some sections for military command, others for industrial production, parts for storage, perhaps laboratories for secret experiments. This explains why it's so large and varied: finished and unfinished tunnels with and without electrical systems, many projects under one codename. But we'll never know completely. In early 1945, as the Soviets approached, the Nazis evacuated and destroyed. Demolition teams placed explosives. Some tunnels collapsed entirely, others became unstable, pumps were destroyed, allowing flooding. Some sections were deliberately sealed, whatever was inside, buried forever. When the war ended in May 1945, Riese became Polish territory. The communist government took possession of a network no one fully understood. For decades, it remained forgotten. Some parts were used for mushroom cultivation. Others became unofficial attractions for local adventurers. After communism fell in the 90s, serious investigation began. New technologies: ground-penetrating radar, LiDAR scanning, modern pumps. Every few years, new discoveries: unknown tunnel entrances, sealed chambers, documents in archives. In August 2015, an announcement captured global attention. Two men claimed they'd found a Nazi gold train hidden in a sealed tunnel for 70 years. Media from around the world arrived. Experts debated. Treasure hunters came. The Polish government declared the train state property. In August 2016, excavation began. Millions watched online. Equipment drilled into the mountain. Days passed. The result? Nothing. No tunnel, no train, no gold, just solid rock. The radar images were geological formations. The gold train was a myth. But the publicity brought something positive. Tourism increased dramatically. Today, parts of Riese are open to the public. The Osauka Tunnel offers tours, taking visitors nearly a kilometre underground. Walking through these corridors is a surreal experience. You see the scale. These aren't mere shelters. They're constructions of mad ambition. Everywhere you see the incompleteness. Drill holes started but never finished. Tool marks on walls where work suddenly stopped. Wooden frames after 80 years. It's as if time froze, workers vanished mid-task. But the tours don't just showcase Nazi engineering. They remember the human cost. Between 5,000 and 13,000 forced labourers died building these tunnels. They worked around the clock, on starvation rations, without proper clothing or medical care. When they became too weak, they were executed. Today the Owl Mountains are peaceful. Hikers walk unaware of what lies beneath. Birds nest. The sounds of suffering have been replaced by wind through pines, but beneath this peaceful surface, the tunnels remain a permanent scar. Much of Riese remains inaccessible, flooded tunnels, others too unstable to enter. Some so destroyed we'll never know what they contained. The full extent may never be known, and perhaps that's fitting. It remains as incomplete in our understanding as in its construction. When we compare Riese to other Nazi underground facilities, the scale becomes even more impressive. Larger than the Mittelbau-Dora rocket factory. More complex than submarine pens. More ambitious than almost any other Third Reich project. Whatever it was meant for, it was meant to be gigantic. What does Riese teach us? That even the most powerful regimes are building on foundations of sand. Hitler's underground empire, meant to last 1,000 years, was abandoned before completion. Hitler never visited his giant. He spent his final days in Berlin's modest bunker. Riese is important not for what it was meant to be, but for what it represents. The futility of tyranny, the waste of totalitarian ambition, the human cost of mad dreams. Thousands died to build something that was never finished, never used, never mattered. That's why preservation efforts continue, why tours are offered, why researchers keep investigating. Riese must not be forgotten because the lessons it teaches are eternal. About the price of unchecked power, about the cost of blind obedience, about the ultimate failure of systems built on human suffering. As we emerge from the darkness of these tunnels into daylight, we carry a responsibility to remember what happened here, to honor those who suffered, to teach future generations, and to ensure monuments to tyranny like this are never built again. Hitler's secret bunker in the Owl Mountains will endure for centuries. The tunnels will slowly flood and collapse. Eventually, they may be lost entirely. But the memory of what happened here must never fade. It must remain as permanent as the mountain itself, a warning from history, a testament to human suffering, and a reminder that evil, no matter how powerful, ultimately fails. The Riese complex is Hitler's secret that became the world's lesson. It stands not as a monument to Nazi power, but to Nazi failure. Not to their vision, but to their blindness. Not to what they built, but to what they destroyed. Never forget.